Welcome to Unmuted Podcast with our amazing host and author, Recia Kabbah. In a noisy world, we cut through the chatter, amplifying important voices. Are you ready for raw, unscripted stories that shape our daily lives? Well, on Unmuted, we tackle tough topics, challenge the norms, and share untold stories. Each episode, we bring in thought leaders, influencers, and everyday heroes for genuine conversations. It's not just a podcast. It's a platform for real, raw, expressive conversations. Get ready for the emotions, laughters, and most of all, the truth. Unmuted is more than just a show. It's a movement. So join us as we break the silence to embrace the power of honest dialogue. Welcome to Unmuted, where conversations are real.
Welcome to Unmuted Podcast. I am your host, Recia Kabbah. Today, on Unmuted, I have a privilege to welcome a remarkable guest, Raefi-Ann, Earl, I would like to say. I hope I pronounced that name right. She is a devoted woman of God, a passionate Christian warrior, and a gifted singer. Beyond her talents, she is a certified professional in management and healthcare, an educator, and an advocate for women's empowerment, wellness, and mental health. Raefi-Ann is also a survivor of trauma and abuse, but her unwavering faith in Christ has not only transformed her own life, but has also inspired countless others to find healing and hope. She's now adding author to her many titles with her upcoming book, I Am Not My Mother's Child. The story of a broken overcomer, a powerful testament to her journey of redemption. Please join me in welcoming Raefi-Ann, a true beacon of hope and resilience, to share her wisdom, her story, and her unwavering belief in the power of faith and healing. Whew. Welcome, Raefi-Ann.
Thank you.
How are you, my love? How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for being here. I know it's been a long day for the both of us. I can see, all of that, but we still made it here, for the people. So I just want to say from me to you, I appreciate you so much. And beyond that, just the fact that you are willing to be here on my platform to share your story. We kind of have a similar story, you and I. Still some difference, but as I went through your info, I'm like seeing myself all over it. So I connect. I wrote a book called Unmuted. That's the reason why I'm even doing this podcast. My podcast is inspired by my book Unmuted. And so when you read my story, you will know what I'm talking about. And so I have a soft place here for you, my sister, because it's different when you have experienced something that somebody is talking about. You can actually connect, right?
Right.
You can connect with them. And so we have something there. But what you are doing now is part of healing, to tell your story and to help other people who may experience it now or who may have experienced it in the past. So we are just gonna get into it since we are 40 minutes behind our time. But first of all, I want to apologize for us being late. Sunday was one thing, and then today we are also late. But we cannot control what life brings. Life be lifing out here, okay, guys? So people be going through it. Yeah, life be lifing. So sometimes you can set your time, but only God knows. but we made it here. That's all that important. We're still here to give you what we've been promising, and so I'm just so grateful. All right, so we're gonna get into it. You did express to me about experiencing abuse and trauma, going through all of those things. You have really been open about your experience with trauma and abuse. Is there a particular moment or story from your journey that stands out as a turning point in your healing process?
Um, Good night, viewers. um,
Were you able to share the video for your people on Facebook?
I didn't up to it. Actually, I was just waiting on you, really.
Yeah, you can
Oh,
share it. I mean, if you want, you can share it while we wait before you start. Yeah.
okay.
hmm
You asked, is there a particular part of my journey that stood out for me?
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's more so like if you want to share a part of that story, your part of your trauma, abuse, what you went through, that would be fine. And then you can move on to the healing part.
Um, I think the most outstanding part, which I think I'm also still um, experiencing, is actually the beginning of healing. When
Okay.
I was going through the abuse, when I was experiencing bad parenting, failing relationships, it wasn't so significant for me. It was more of a lifestyle, so to speak. So the when it really made sense to me was when I gained consciousness of all the things that had happened to me, all the things that I was doing to myself, and realizing that I actually have an identity that was hidden behind all of those things. And it's when I started gaining consciousness of who I really am, getting to know myself and to understand that I can actually be the opposite of that side of my life, that past, those events. That's most outstanding for me, realizing that I don't have to be my circumstances. I don't have to be what was spoken over me. I don't have to be the failure that I was experiencing for many years by those things. And I'm still basking in that first moment of self-realization, that first moment of seeing myself for the first time, being able to look at myself in the mirror without foundation and concealer and a wig. I was able to see Raefi-Ann raw and being able to become unmuted to talk about what I have been experiencing. That has been most outstanding for me, and it still is to this day.
So, if for our viewers, right, if you would like to just give them a little bit of idea with like a little bit deep vision of what you are explaining. So you experience molestation at a very young age, right?
That is correct.
Was this something that was from someone familiar or a stranger?
I think I would have felt differently about it if it was a stranger. So I was molested by my mother's boyfriend
Mhm.
um, for some years, and escaping that, I got molested again by another member of my family. I won't identify the relation, but a very close member of my family, someone that I had a relationship with, someone who could have replaced um, my birth father. That was the image that they had in my life. So it started with my mother's boyfriend. We lived together. We grew up from a poor background, I'd say,
Mhm.
um, in a one-bedroom home. Not sure if
Mhm.
you're familiar with that. Um, and it was basically an open door for the abuse. And for my mother's boyfriend to find me to be attractive as a 4-year-old baby, that too, and not having the protection from my mother only made it easier for him to do it. And that took place for a couple of years. I think I was about like 7, 8 years old when it stopped, and that's when I actually gained my voice to speak about what was being done to me.
Did you
So
say at 4 years old?
4 years old, and just to say, I'd like to think that it was probably it could have started earlier than 4 years old. I remember vividly when I was attending school in Jamaica, we call it basic school. In America, it's probably like elementary.
Mhm.
So baby stage going to school. I remember going to school, coming home from school, being undressed out of my uniform, and then being presented for this man. I remember vividly, sometimes I was still in my uniform, being pulled away from other children when it's time to play. Yeah, vividly, it's still in my
Well,
head.
no, no. Okay, let me. All right, when you say pull away, so this is something that was clearly being done. It wasn't like he was hiding it or anything. Did your mother know about this?
Well, no, it was done in secrecy,
Okay,
I'd say.
okay. So
So,
he was the one pulling you away.
right. So I would be outside with the other children,
Mhm.
playing, and he would call me away, take me inside, and have his way with me. So I lost um, moments of being a child. I wasn't completely allowed to be a child or to experience childhood because for many years I had to be replacing my mother and playing the role of an adult forcibly by being molested.
Okay, I can't. This is too much. All right. So, woo, replacing your mother. All right. I gotta get myself together.
It's okay.
Yeah, this
It
um
happens every time.
4 years old. Okay. 4 years old. And what? All right. So many things are going on in my head right now, but 4 years old, 5 years old, 6 year old. So at what point that your mother became aware of this? Because I'm sure you did not talk about it at that time. But and she did not probably notice anything, like you in a 1 bedroom apartment with your daughter, man, did she not sense anything? Because I can probably just imagine you being sad or maybe at times cry. I don't know, when did she really become aware of this?
So where we lived, in Jamaica, we call it tenement yard. So it's like an apartment complex, except that they're separate houses. So it's not a high-rise building with apartments. So you had multiple households in that yard. So all the neighbors were on one plot in separate homes. So people were able to, everybody could see everybody, and pretty much how the ghetto is, you don't really get much privacy. You're always in front of someone. People can always see you. And
Right.
I would think that one of our neighbors at the time was able to observe me as a child. She was also a parent.
Mhm.
She had two kids at the time. She was the one who actually started the foundation of my voice. She pulled me away one day, um, just randomly, and started questioning me, asking me if someone was touching me. blatantly, just like that. She asked me, and I think that was my moment. Sometimes we're going through something and we think we don't want to talk about it, and we push it in our subconscious until someone actually asks the question, "Are you okay, Recia? Are you okay, Raefi-Ann?" And that is your moment to say, "No, I'm not okay. I need help."
Yeah.
And that was my moment when she asked me if I was being touched by someone. And I said yes. And she asked me for the details, who it is, what was being done. And I told her completely everything. And that's how it was brought to my mother's attention. That's how
Mm,
she found out.
okay.
Um, and of course, she pretended like she cared, like she's that type of mother. And now I'm aware my daughter is being molested and I'm going to kill this man, and all of that took place. But that was just the beginning of a journey that went uphill and downhill. The awareness was just the beginning of what was to come.
When you say that, when the neighbor told her, that's when she acted like she cared. Do you, when you make a statement like that, meaning, do you believe that your mother knew something was going on, but play it off like she did not know?
Now I can say I think that's what was happening. Now that I'm older and, I'm more aware of how these things work. I'm able to read human behavior. I'm able to have certain conversations. I am now thinking that she probably knew or had some idea because, and especially as a parent, now that I'm playing the role of a parent, I find it very difficult to have my child in the same space with me and not notice something that is going on with her, and not and pretend like I don't see it, or to there's not enough evidence for me to question. Or even if you don't notice something, ask the question, are you okay? Is this happening to you? Remember, nobody's supposed to touch you there, stuff like that, which never took place. I didn't get that relationship from my mother. So at that time, I felt like she was on my side, and I'll tell you why I see it this way. Because after all of that, crying and emotions and calling the police and all of that, it wasn't long after that time that my mother actually changed her story in saying that she believed what happened. She actually changed her belief towards the scenario to say that it didn't really happen and that I was lying about it.
Your mother said that.
Yes, she did. She said it to my face. I remember we were living with my grandmother at the time because we had to move. And she said it. She said, I'm a liar and that it really didn't happen. I made up the entire story.
What was your relationship like with your mother? Because just did you guys have the daughter mother relationship? Did you feel like you could go to her to talk to her about anything?
Okay, so what I've learned about parenting does not stop. The limit is not at the part where you provide basic needs,
Mm-hmm.
clothing, food, shelter. Parenting is an extensive role. So I think her limit stopped at providing basic needs for me. Like I said before, we did not have the relationship where she would give me a girl talk,
Okay.
mother to daughter, teach me about periods, teach me about boys, um, helping me to identify good touch, good words, bad words. I didn't get that. She provided for me, yes. We wore matching outfits. She could make clothes and she would make a lot of clothes for the both of us to wear. She would dress me up every day and, show me off that you have this pretty cool daughter. That's how we call it in Jamaica. comb my hair nice, make sure that I eat, and all those things. And being the child that I would say I was vulnerable and I wasn't taught otherwise. So I didn't know what else to look out for or what to expect from her. So I thought in my mind we had a great relationship. And then leading up to her becoming aware of what her boyfriend was doing to me,
Mm-hmm.
she would have had my back completely 100%, and
Right.
she's going to protect me all the way, and things are just going to be as normal as they were before with my mom, but that's not the case.
That's not the case. Okay. Because yes, we can give her the benefit of the doubt because sometimes you think people know things and they just don't know because we are not all the same. We are not all observant. But when you say that, even though she found out somebody else outside of the household got to notice your child is unhappy, got to see something in your child that is not right. All right. So we are not perfect as human, as parents, we are not perfect, right? So we make our own mistakes. And but at that point where she got to know, my problem is that, like you just said, that's when you can take on your daughter and you know keep her under your wings and ask her, details and for you to believe your child and for you to actually, because for me personally, I'm catching a case. I'm catching a case. You know,
Mhm.
the fact that I did not notice is gonna kill me because sometimes the little things just pass us and we just, you know,
Yeah,
mothers, we are working, we are busy, you want to make sure the child going to school, all of these things. So you may miss the little things, right? Um,
yeah,
and the people that do those things to children, they are very manipulative and they are very sick in the head, right? And they can do anything to make someone not notice what's going on, And as a child, of course, you will be afraid to speak up because you live in a home with this man,
right.
and so you're gonna keep quiet. But after you get to find out something that happened to your child, you have to take a stand. You have to do something. I'm not saying go kill somebody. I'm not even saying that. But for you to have felt like she did not have your back, so now I'm out here alone because you are my mother. You're supposed to protect me, right?
If no one
Um,
else does.
if no one else does, you're supposed to believe me, you're supposed to support me, so to take off for me. So I can see where the trauma is over there. And so, but now moving on from the childhood part, has your mother ever, as you have become a woman for yourself and decided to talk about it, has she ever reconciled with you? Like, has she ever take her words back, like, okay, I know I did not believe you before, but now I believe you, or what can I do? Like, just some type of concerned, as because it doesn't matter how old we are, our parents are our parents, right? You
Right.
still want that closure because I think that will also help you in your healing process, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So has anything changed?
um I would say no.
Hmm.
It's not that she so I invited her to my house sometime ago, maybe a year ago or so, and at that time I was doing therapy, and my therapist suggested, you know, facing the people who hurt you is also a part of your healing. Like you said,
Mhm.
closure would help me to move forward. And she said that she's sorry, she didn't believe, but she believed now and all of that. But then on the contrary, she's still married to him. By the way, I didn't tell her she actually got married to him. So after she told me that I'm a liar and
I'm
I'm
married to this man.
she got married to him when I was 15 years old. Um, and I remember even telling her that I'm not happy about that decision. And she told me blatantly to my face that it's her decision and she's going to do it. I think that was another opportunity for her to see me as her child, and the trauma that was created inside of me, in my mind, over my head. And she again disregarded that for her own satisfaction. So they've been married since I was 15 years old. I'm now 36 years old. And she's been with him before I was born. I think she was still pregnant when she met him, or she would have had me months before she met him. So you can imagine how long she has been with this man. So in adulthood, I invited her to my home and I allowed her the opportunity once more to come to the realization that this is what happened, this is what it did to me, this is where I am now. I want to move forward. I'm starting over. I got saved. I'm I'm recreating, I'm rewriting my story.
Story.
And if it is that she would want to be a part of the new journey, I would open my arms to her.
Wow.
But then, Recia, what she said that made me believe that she's still not on my side is when she told me that she cannot leave him to allow me to come to her house, because I mentioned visitation, wanting to visit her, and what if I could bring my child with me? And she said, I told her I don't want to be there if he's going to be there. And she looked in my face and told me that she can't make him leave. And I'm saying, it's been more than 30 years and you're still not able to put this man aside to have a relationship with your child, your firstborn child, that you're pretty much losing for good this time. She was still willing to hold on to that space in her life and allow me to just slip through her fingers yet again. And that's what I used to conclude that she doesn't want me. She doesn't want me. She's not ready for me. She's not in that state of mind where I'm concerned. So she may not have said, even well, she said it, she believes the story, but saying you that you believe that it happened and this man did that to your child, but you're still remaining married to him.
Mm-hmm.
She had other children with him, still
Mm.
living with him, not willing to sacrifice anything to get rid of him. It tells me that you still don't believe the story.
Yeah. Yes.
You're
Yes.
still on his side.
Yes. And sometimes that is easier that way, because if she believes the story, then she will have to do something about it.
Exactly.
So it's better for me not to believe it, or for me not to pay it any attention. But this is your child. This is your child. Man, you can get other men, but you can't have another
You cannot
child.
replace your
You
children, you
cannot
cannot
replace
replace
your
your
child.
parents.
So just that trauma alone, I I just hope and pray that you can find peace. Have you come to a place where, or turn where you have forgiven her? Because sometimes we have to, this is what therapy is good too. We have to forgive the people. For the men, I don't even want to. I don't even want to talk about him. I don't want him to be a subject on this platform. I almost want to act like he doesn't even exist, because yeah, as gross as it is. But for your mother, the fact that she's not willing to come to receive you and ask for this love and this forgiveness and build a relationship. I know there's a trauma there. I know there is hurt, there is pain. Because again, it doesn't matter how old we are, we want our parents. So I lost my mother at a very young age. And I can't imagine myself, you know, if my mother was alive, and the things that I endure in life, those challenges, my own experience with molestation, if my mother was living and she did not do anything about it. I can't imagine that, because I mean, who else in this world to protect you outside of God? Your parents, your
Mhm.
parents, So with her actions, have you found peace within yourself to forgive her, to move on? Because forgiveness is not for the people that hurt us, it's for ourselves, you know.
Um, Honestly, I'm still working on it.
Still working on it.
And there was a time where I said, I have forgiven her. Um, but I think learning who I am. I'm still learning who I am, and every day it seems I'm learning something new about myself. I'm still getting therapy because
Mhm.
remember, healing is not overnight.
Mm-mm.
And I realize that there are some days where in my new identity, it takes me back to those days of being neglected by her, being rejected, being pushed aside for the other children. And it takes my mind to a place to question, am I even able to forgive her for real? Because I'm looking at how the woman that I am, not ultimately, but there are parts of my personality that I'm not happy with, that I would want to change because of how it may affect my family now. And I realize it's because of how my mother raised me. It's the person that she created me to be, isolated, not expressive of self, not being open to say I got hurt or anything like that.
Mhm.
And it makes me question, can I really forgive her? And I talk to God about it almost every day, and it is a struggle. It is a struggle and it's real. And I want people to understand that it's real. If you find it hard, if you find it extremely difficult to forgive the person that hurt you, it's real, it happens. But like you said, the forgiveness is not for that person. It's for my heart, my soul, it's for my mental health to have that kind of peace to move forward and live a normal life. So I am still working on that. I've accepted being raped. I've accepted that off the bat. I've accepted what being raped led me to do in my adulthood, which I think you're going to ask me about. But I'm still working on my mother. I really don't care about her man, her husband. He's not an issue for me.
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
more concerned about
Your mother.
forgiving my mother and
Mhm.
what she did, what she allowed to happen to me, what she didn't pay attention to, the days that she missed it, the nights that she missed it. That's my concern, really.
Whew. Okay. Um. All right. So I did as like I expressed to you, I did experience something like that. In fact, from a family member. I think the hardest part is that when people that do those things cannot admit to what they have done, and for you to be able to forgive them, because I think it's easier when somebody apologizes for what they
Right.
have done. The
Mm-hmm.
forgiveness comes easier than when the
When
person
they're
is
still in denial.
when they are denying it. So when I said to you, forgiveness is not for them, it's for you, because I had to also do that myself. When I came up with my story, first of all, it's not a normal thing for us to speak on these things. I'm from Liberia. I'm from Africa. You from Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
So similar things. These things are like a secret. You're not supposed to talk about them. When they
Yeah.
happen to you, they happen to you. You're not the first one. You're not going to be the last one. Get over it. Move on. It's normal. It's natural. Whatever they look at it to be. But for me, when you start to get on that journey of healing from whatever you have experienced, it's not just for you anymore. It is also for other people that don't have the voice, that don't have that platform, that don't have that ear to listen to them. But when my story came up, when the person was actually questioned, did you do this? They did exactly what a lot of people would do. No, I did not do it.
No, I did not.
I did not do it. So to tell you that one statement hurt me more than anything else that has ever hurt me in this life. If someone beat me for years, that pain wasn't equal to that particular part. Because that just, so what are you saying? I'm just sitting here just making up this story on you. Why you? Especially if you somebody I had looked up to like a father, a family member, somebody I will kill for, somebody I love. Why would I do that? To spoil your character, to mess with your reputation? Why would I do that? But so me not getting, and I actually took upon myself to reach out to this person and say, listen, I'm telling my story, and part of my story is what happened. It's what happened, what you did to me. So I want you to know before I can put this book out that I am in fact talking about that situation. So you don't be shocked. I did not owe this man none of that. But from the heart that I had to do that because I wanted, on this journey, when you're on a journey of healing, you have to move different. You have to move different. You have to think different. And so when I did that, this person kept silent and did not say anything. And I was sitting there waiting to hear an apology. I'm telling you, I'm not lying to you. I was standing in that kitchen waiting. I remember looking at myself like, is he going to say something? I'm on the phone listening. I said, do you understand what I just said? Just to make sure we were on the same page. And he said, yes. I said, oh. And then I kept quiet again, just to see if he would allow him to say, okay, you know what? I am so sorry. I apologize. Something. It don't have to be in the words that I'm speaking, but something. But this man showed me no concern. This man showed me no remorse. He just kept quiet. I said, oh, okay. Bye. And he said, bye. We hung up the phone. And Raefi-Ann, I stood in our kitchen and tears ran down my eyes. And in that moment, I was like, if you're going to do this, you have to make this about you. This is about you. This is about you being able to live freely. Move on. Forgive a person. To forgive someone without receiving an apology is the hardest thing ever. Okay, so I know where you are. That's why I said to you earlier, I relate to your story so much. Forgiveness without an apology is like a whole nother big deal because it is hard. You have to do it for you. So I say this to say you are on the right journey. And I hope that, you can find peace and forgive him without receiving an apology, because I don't think that will ever come, because people are sick and people are going through their own situation that they inflict wounds onto other people. And so you cannot allow that to continue with your own life. Now that you have a child, you have to pour into your child. You have to be a better person for them, for you, just for your mental and all of that. So healing is not a today thing. It is not a tomorrow thing. It's not a week or month or year thing. It is actually a continuation, because these things comes back to us. They're like a flashback. You can try to forget about it in a little bit and live a kiki moment, but then it sink in. I know exactly, girl. I know. Someday you wake up, you just feel sad. Why did it happen to me? And so that's, that it's a hard thing, but you are on the right journey, because starting to talk about it, it is actually the healing process, And so, I applaud you for that. And
Thank you.
yes, I applaud you for that and for sharing your story, because it takes courage to be able to tell people your true story. The whole world is gonna know about your story. The whole world is watching you, you know. So it takes courage. It took courage for me to do it, and I know that it's taking a lot out of you. But your story is touching a lot of people because you don't know who's watching this, you don't know who's going through it, that don't even have the face to talk about it, that has not even talked about it to a family member. You might just encourage them, and that's what this is about, you know.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. The forgiveness is for your peace. Yes,
That's true.
it's true. Thank you so much, Sharon. All right. Woo.
I think one important thing is to accept that they may never admit to it, like you said.
Mhm.
So the sooner we stop expecting them admitting to what they did, the sooner we will start the healing.
The sooner we
Just,
start the
just
healing.
tell yourself, okay, what if they never admit it?
There you go. Bingo. There you go. What if? And it doesn't seem like they will ever. So there you
He,
go.
he hasn't admitted to it
Yeah. Because people
af-
believe their
after
lies.
all these years.
People believe their lies, and that's what that is. So what was that pivotal moment for you that helped you to move on from darkness, to redemption? And how has Christ played a role in your healing process?
So I didn't tell you, but I struggled with depression for many years
Mhm.
and I became an alcoholic. That
Mhm.
was my main coping method, as well as being promiscuous. I think in the latter years, maybe 5, 6 years ago, I kind of tried on my own without God to minimize having multiple partners. And then I had two boyfriends who still didn't even make sense. But I was trying. I did try over the years. I tried therapy, I tried drinking, I tried sex. The only thing that probably worked a little was the therapy, and then I wasn't consistent, so there was always a relapse. But then when I got saved, that's when I was able to overcome. First of all, I was able to stop using my regular methods. I also did self harm. Um, and that was a way of punishing myself because I blamed myself a lot to say if I hadn't been born, my mother wouldn't have to choose me between me and her spouse. If I had lied to that lady that day when she called me, none of that would have happened. So I blamed myself a lot. So I that little girl inside my head felt the need to be punished. But it was when I got saved, I was able to eliminate these things from my life. Um, and I didn't really have a support system and I didn't really talk about the problem. Like you said, a lot of people don't talk about these things. They don't talk about what's happening. And again, you don't want to be judged. You may say it to the wrong ears and the wrong brain, and you get the wrong response, which may heighten your risk of continuing those painful methods that you're already struggling with and
Yes.
take you to a deeper place of depression and becoming suicidal and all of that. So I never really I've had friends for years, and when I started sharing the story like on this platform, that was the very first time they learned about what happened to me and what I was struggling with. But when I got saved and I started talking to God, I started laying it down and saying, I don't want to live like this anymore. I don't want to be that girl who is known for being raped, who is known for sleeping around, who is known for drinking. In my last job, they made fun of it. I just laughed with it because it was easy. But they made fun of me drinking, and I never really expressed to them that, listen, if I don't drink, your job will not be done.
Hmm.
It was that bad. But then, in getting into the Word of God, in praying, telling God that I want to replace these things with what you have for me. That was how I was able to overcome. That's why I can talk like this now. That's why I can boldly share the story and say, I accept being raped. Okay, things happen. It happened. And I'm not going to try to revert the experience. I'm not going to try to go back to the past and say what could have been done that was not done. I've accepted it, and I've accepted that there has to be a purpose in me having those experiences and still surviving. That's why I'm alive tonight. And I know it's not because of the rum, it's not because of the sex, it's not because I watch my arms bleed. It's because of the love of God and the grace of God that I accepted in my life, why I am the woman that I am today. And that's something that I'll always cherish. I'll never forget that about God. If I go back into the world, I will always remember that it's not going to be the same thing. It's not going to be going back to men. It's not going to be going back to drinking, because those things damaged me severely. But God kept me the entire time. And I believe that there is a purpose. I'd say being on your platform tonight is a part of the purpose. Being able to share the story for someone else to be saved from what it is that they're struggling with, from what they're not talking about. This is also a part of the purpose of why I went through those things and I was able to survive them, because God helped me to.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. And so you see, that's the problem. So going through all of those things led you to doing, other stuff, blaming yourself. And, that's the thing with trauma. Trauma will take you someplace else, and the thing is that rather than you being the victim, you felt responsible for what happened to you. And you are not the reason for what happened to you. You were just a 4-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old.
I was a baby.
Yeah, you or infant, a baby, someone that cannot fight for themselves. So blaming yourself at that age and even questioning your being here, those things can send you somewhere else. So for you to be able to breath yourself from that um place and find God, and being able to heal with God being in your life, it is a testament to the amount of power that we have within ourselves to change situations. And you could not have done it without God, of course. But like I said, your story is very unique, very inspiring. It is very touching. I'm sitting here I'm bopping my eyes because I don't want to cry. At some point, I sense the tears in my eyes, and I'm like, I don't know if anybody else can notice that, but I'm trying to hold myself. I can't be the host and be crying over here. And I can see that you are holding back a lot of emotions. So I can only do that because the show must go on. But I'm telling you, my stomach is clenching. I'm having all these thoughts in my head. Just imagine at that young age, tender age, yeah. Like I probably would have been sitting in this jail cell someplace already. Like, yes, I'm telling you, like, no. Yes, Sharon, you're right. People are cruel when they are not walking in your shoe of trauma from the drama. Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. Absolutely. People are sick out here. These men are sick. And I love the way you let God, she says, I love the way you let God use
Thank
you to
you.
be a source of inspiration to others, including you, myself. Like I said, your story um, is relatable to a lot of people and is inspiring. It's going to give a lot of people hope. This is also giving hope. This is also giving me hope. If you can go through all of those things and still find peace and still find God, knowing that you can help other people. So who am I not to do the same? So that's what this is about. That's what this is about. What advice will you give to women who are struggling to prioritize self-care and mental health while managing life challenges such as what we just talked about? From your experience, I mean, who else to give some good advice to someone experiencing anything traumatizing?
Something just dropped in my mind that I'm realizing from my past life. In order for you, so first of all, we have to be re-identified.
Mhm.
And of course, if you're struggling, you're in the pit of your situation, it's going to be very difficult, if not seeming almost impossible, to encourage yourself or to just find the courage to speak and say what's going on with you.
Mhm.
It's important to have the right people around you. And I'm realizing now that, remember, I said earlier, I had in my job, I would drink a lot, and people, they would make fun of it and say, "Oh, yeah, drinking today." And, you know, they would give me a bottle of wine as a gift when it's my birthday,
Wow.
doing that jokingly, but knowing that I'm drinking. If you're an alcoholic and you have a friend that is offering you a drink, you have no business having that friend.
No.
If your friend knows that you're struggling with depression, you are having failing relationships, you're sleeping with a married man, if that friend is not telling you to do the opposite, to do otherwise, then that's not your friend. That's not the audience that you want for yourself. And I think that's a key point in getting to the redemption that we need, the breakthrough that we need, because we're not able to lift ourselves in the situation. But if we have the right support system, if we have genuine people who are able to see beyond what we are doing to ourselves, then that
Mhm.
can also help us to get out of our mess.
Exactly.
And I did not have that. And I'm just realizing, as you're asking the question, I'm realizing that I really didn't have those people that were encouraging me to drink, drinking with me, and they knew that I was struggling. Some people knew more than some, and no one discouraged me from drinking. No one discouraged me from self-harming. I went to work with the scars,
Wow. Yeah.
and nobody paid attention to it. That tells me that it's a key factor in how we get to have the voice, how we become unmuted, because you need someone in your corner, in your circle, to lift you when you're unable to lift yourself.
Yes.
That's one of the
Amen.
first things to identify. So if you're on here and you're struggling with something, you're not sure how. I'm not going to ask or wonder if it's difficult for you to move forward or to get up. I know it's difficult. It
Mhm.
seems very impossible, and it feels easier to stay right where you are. It's easier to continue with the methods that you're using to cope. But if you just take a look around you and see one person that you can talk to, find that person. Get that one person with the ears to listen to your silence.
Mm-hmm.
That one person with closed eyes to see you where you are and what
Mm-hmm.
you're struggling with.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then when you get that person will help you to start talking. We have to have at least one person that we can trust. And let me just say this, it does not have to be a family member. It does not have to be a co-worker. It doesn't have to be your boss. It may not be a church leader of the church that you're attending, because again, sometimes the very people that we are expecting to help us to get up are the ones that just might say the wrong thing that will push us further into the thing that we're dying to get out of. It
Yes.
can be a stranger.
Yes. It can be a
It
stranger.
can be a stranger. Nothing is wrong with that,
Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
right? Find somebody that you can talk to. Reach out to Recia. Reach out to me. Find somebody and tell, because if you don't do that, this thing is going to eat, the trauma is going to eat you alive. It's going to kill you mentally, it's going to kill you emotionally. You're just going to be a shell, this body walking around, but you're already dead. But I declare tonight that that will not happen to anybody on this platform. Don't
Amen.
be the shell. Don't be that robotic form that's just walking around in silence, dying, draining. You're bleeding constantly, day after day.
Mm-hmm.
Tell somebody,
Mm-hmm.
find someone and tell them, I need help. But in order to do that, you have to be willing and ready.
Exactly, exactly. And you make a great point here. The people around you will make you or break you. And you touch on good, great key points over there. We have to pay attention to our surrounding, our environment, because they have a saying, show me your friends, I'll tell you
Tell you who you are.
who you are, right? And that speaks a lot. It says a lot, and it's not just about being successful. This is about your
Mhm.
mental. This is about your growth. This is for your peace. Just everything in general. If you have people around you when you are going through stuff, some people enjoy your misery. Some
Yes.
people are around you because you are miserable. They enjoy that. And because they are not happy within their own life, they enjoy
Mhm.
your misery. So they will do stuff. It seems that they are supportive of you, but because they are there in a moment where you are going through something, just because they are present there doesn't mean they are there for your good. They may
Yes.
just be there because they enjoy that your downfall. They enjoy your downfall. They enjoy your weakness, your struggle. Because when you start to move away from those things, then those people are nowhere to be found because you are not finding peace. You are not trying to do better.
Right.
So if you can't be there for me when I'm trying to fight through this life to be happy, to be great, to be successful, but you are there with me when I'm going through stuff, that doesn't necessarily mean that you are a friend. It just means that you enjoy that part of my life when I'm going through something, because you are not
Mhm.
celebrating with me. You are not helping me to grow. If I need to
Right.
grow and I need you to be there with me, whether it's mentally, physically, financially, whatever it is. That's what you call friends. Someone that can
Right.
be there for you. Um, you don't need a bunch of people in your life. You need to have some solid, good people, whether it's family member or friendship. Just even it is one or two. I tell people all the time, I do not have a big range of friendship. I can't even check on my 5 fingers, my friends. But I can tell you, those people I consider friends, they are more than 100 when it comes to me needing them. Because when I
Mhm.
ring the phone, they are running, they dropping everything, and vice versa. So you have to find good company. You have to find people that care for your well-being, and people that can notice that something is wrong. Because
Yeah.
sometimes we don't tell our friends that something is wrong. We don't tell our family that something is wrong. But just for them to take notice and be like, girl, are you okay? Something seems off.
Something's not right.
Something's
Mm-hmm.
not right. Because that opens the room for you to talk, for you to say something. But if they
Yeah.
can't do that, if you can't see your friends and notice something is wrong, then I start to question that friendship, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really good advice. So if you're watching this, like she said, you're going through something, find somebody, find a therapist. If you don't have, because we are afraid to share things with people because you might be sharing it with the wrong person. You might
Yeah.
just be giving them their joy, being that you share your vulnerability with them. So
Mm-hmm.
it's very difficult. It's hard to trust people. But if you have people that you trust, then talk to somebody. We need to talk.
That's why I said it can also be a stranger.
Yes. And usually strangers, she said it, sometimes strangers will come through for you more than people you've been knowing for 20, 30 years.
I can tell you.
Okay. And ask God to filter out your friendship, to
Mm-hmm.
remove the wrong people. Pray about that. That's one of my key prayers. I'm always asking God to remove the wrong people, the frenemies, the wrong family member. I don't want
Mm-hmm.
anything toxic in my space. I don't want anybody faking in my face. I'd rather get up with nobody than to get up with a
And get
whole
up
lot
with
of fake
people that
people,
will tear you down.
So, you know, that's a really good advice. So, Raefi, I thank you for that. Great advice. Just one more thing. Damn. Yeah. What inspired? So you have now decided to tell your story by writing a book.
Mm-hmm.
And the title, of your book, I Am Not My Mother's Child. That really stood out to me. I'm like, wait, what is she saying?
Controversial.
I am not my mother's child. So can you what really inspired you, or what's the motivation? Well, I think I know, but um what's the motivation behind you really now trying to make this more public thing, like unmuted, of course, um to write I Am Not My Mother's Child, the story of a broken overcomer, and what do you hope readers will take away from this?
So the title of the book.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
So I explained to you how I was raised, the rejection, the neglect, the abuse, all of that. My mother, after she told me that I was lying about the abuse, she changed completely and she started showing a side of her that I've never seen before, which became permanent. I think she was really like that before, but again, sometimes you don't know a person until something happens.
Mhm.
So she was raising me to be this bitter girl, um, full of hate, resentment, isolating myself, um, the multiple partners, that was a part of it. All of those things that I experienced that I used to do to myself. She raised me to become that.
Mhm.
But I don't want to be that girl. I
Mhm.
don't want to be known as that child. So the child that I am now, I'm not my mother's child. This woman that you're listening to, my mother had nothing to do with this production. Okay? She's
Mhm.
not a part of the stage crew. She's not holding the lights. She's not even in the audience. She has nothing to do with the woman that is speaking tonight. And that's why I say I am not my mother's child, because the child that I was before all of this was horrible. I did love people still. I showed people love, because that's who I am naturally, right? But for the external side, it was just a lot of bitterness and hate and wanting to take revenge and all of that, wanting to just be a bad person, a careless person, not having enough care for myself, not loving myself, not even though having ambition, not being willing to go the extra mile to do more for myself. That's the girl that my mother raised, even though she really didn't raise me technically.
Hmm.
So that's how we got the name. I am not my mother's child because I am not the child that she wanted me to become by what she did to me. So in the book, it's more detail, of course. It's definitely unmuted.
Hmm.
Um, I tried my best to not cover some of the details, especially with the abuse part.
Hmm.
And there's some fine tune of other things that my mother did to me that I don't share on interviews.
Hmm.
Um, but what I wanted to come out in this book is awareness, awareness for self,
Hmm.
awareness for parenthood, awareness for self identity,
Hmm.
learning ways of how you can become who you are called to be.
Hmm.
Um, Parenting, which is major for me even now, readers can expect to see the difference, the different shapes of how you can be a good parent and a bad parent, an effective parent or an ineffective parent, and the results of both to your child or children.
Hmm.
It shows culture, being raised by culture as opposed to being raised as a human being, because your grandmother did it, your mother did it, you're expected to fall in alignment with the same culture and the traditions of not being important, not feeling important, not being raised to have a voice, to speak, not learning about yourself and your body. All of those things readers can expect to come out in this book. Um, it's it's kind of heartbreaking, but it's motivating at the same time. The thing is, and as your program says, unmuted, I like that because a lot of the times we cover the story, we're telling it, but we're still putting a cover over it. And I think if people will become bold enough to be raw, real about what the issue is, then we will be better able to deal with it. Find better solutions, more effective solutions to deal with the problem as they are. And that's in the book.
Okay, I love that because when you said earlier, cover, you when you talk about writing the book, you talk about whether to cover some stuff up because some things are so it sounds bad, it looks bad. You don't want to put
Yeah.
that in there, right? But that took me straight to before I started to write my book. I told my girl when we were having the discussion, and as I kept explaining stuff that I experienced, and I said to her, if I'm going to tell my story, I have to tell my story. I
Mhm.
cannot tell some and leave some just because of shame or I don't want to call certain people out. You, I did not put names in my book, but if it's you, you know who you are.
Mhm.
But I wasn't going to tell some of my story and leave some because then I'm not doing the people justice.
You're
You
not
know,
doing yourself
I'm
justice.
not doing myself justice. I'm not doing the people justice because you are trying to not just free yourself from this trauma, but you are also trying to help other people. How can you do that if you don't try to be transparent? If you're not being
Right.
transparent and real with yourself. So you either tell it or you don't. And that's
Mhm.
why, like you said, my title Unmuted speaks a lot for itself. It's about being raw, honest, and just being truthful and being transparent and just letting it out. After I released my book, I felt this big weight lifted off my shoulder. It's like I was carrying a weight for so many years because I was living in the shame. I was living in that embarrassment. I was living in that fake life. Like nothing happened, or just trying to bury stuff and try to go through life and just trying
Mm-hmm.
to pretend as if it wasn't there. But what people don't realize is that actually when I told my story, I became free. I was happy.
Yeah.
That's why when I tell people now, I'm so happy than I have ever been in my entire life. They're probably thinking, well, why would she be happy? She just got a divorce. She went through this. She went through that. No, my peace is within here. My heart is happy. I'm not holding anything anymore. I'm walking around as a free person. You don't know how many sleepless nights I had. You don't know how many times I was turning and twisting in that bed. You don't know how many nightmares I was having. You don't know how many times I was crying. So
Mm-hmm.
me being able to talk about this out there, people don't have to look at me as perfect, because nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
And we all experience things. They may be different things, but we all go through stuff. But we cannot all tell our story because we are all not built the same. But so when I did, I felt really good. And what you are doing, trust me, as you tell this story and finally finish with this book and finally come up with this book, you're going to start living in your truth. Because that is the whole point. Use your
Right.
pain to find your purpose. And so you girl, listen, I have a question here for you. She says,
Mm-hmm.
thanks for sharing your story. It is very inspiring and compelling. All right. So she said, did you ever think of hurting yourself physically?
Yes, I did. I talk about self-harming. I would get razors and slice my wrist. I can show you the scars
Hmm.
on both hands. Sure, if you can.
Yeah. Oh, I see.
Yeah. And because of my skin type,
You can really
they don't go
see.
anywhere. Yeah. So I did that a lot. Um, and I said it was a form of punishment. My inner person wanted it to be punishment. And sometimes I did it because I wanted to feel something different. I wanted to distract myself from what was plaguing my mind. It was somewhat of an escape from the emotional pain that I was feeling. I wanted to think on something else other than what was in my head. I've had sleepless nights and sometimes even having a rough day at my job. I would just go home, get myself a hard drink and my razor, and while I'm harming myself, I talk to myself and I say, this is your fault. You made this happen and this is not going to go away. It's just going to continue. The cycle will continue. And also in my relationships, even after having sex, I would feel so dissatisfied and empty. I cut myself after that because there was always an emptiness inside that needed to be filled. But because I was not raised with love and proper nurturing, I sought that love in men and bad friends and the drinking and the razor. So yes, I did hurt myself. And there are lots of people that are doing it. I've met people who have done it, who have overcome, people who are still practicing those methods. And I don't judge anyone for doing it. And even before I started doing it, I never judge people because the first thing I think about is what is the story? I've been places and people look at my arm and they would judge me with their eyes and their facial expression. And in my culture, in my country, there's a stigma on people self-harming. When they see the scars, they would first thing that they would think to say, that person is mad. Like, what can you be going through so badly that you want to cut yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Which is a hurtful question and
Mm-hmm.
statement.
Mm-hmm.
But for people who are experiencing trauma, for people who are struggling in deep, severe depression, they would understand why they do that to themselves. But you can stop. I stopped doing it. You can stop doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But it takes willingness to find self love, to find your identity as a person, knowing your purpose, understanding that you have a purpose, understanding that what they did to you is not your final. That's pretty much just the beginning.
Yes.
And if you are able to step over that hurdle, child,
Mm.
you would be amazed
Of
at how
fools.
far you can go, how much you can achieve. Let me tell you, my journey has allowed me some of the most amazing interaction with some of the most amazing people in this
People.
world. You have no
Amen.
idea.
Yes.
You have no idea. And it's just the beginning. It's just the beginning. There's so much ahead. But if you are willing, because Recia, sometimes we want to help people, want to encourage people, but they're not ready
We're not
to get
ready.
to that point. They're
Yeah.
not ready to be healed. And it's not something that we can force on people. We can't force healing. We can't force the length of someone's healing. We have to allow people to receive their methods, receive different methods from what you and I may have gotten for our
Mhm.
journey, for our healing.
Yes.
And I want you guys on here to understand that as well. If you are ready to be healed, do not expect my methods to work for you. Do not expect Recia's methods to work for you either, because we're all different
Different.
individuals. We
Mm-hmm.
operate differently, we receive differently, we give differently. And how you receive your healing, how you receive yourself in the world, I shared this recently, how you show up in life, how you see yourself and accept yourself will determine the type of healing that you get and how
Mm-hmm.
long it takes for you to be healed.
Yes.
But it has to be something that we are willing to do. We have to be willing to take that first step.
Do the
And
work.
the first
Yes.
step is to speak, get unmuted.
Yeah.
Take that voice. Recia and I are here giving you that voice. Will you take that voice tonight? Will
Mm-hmm.
you take the opportunity to have the boldness and the courage to say, I'm not going to live like this anymore. I don't want to accept this anymore. I'm going to talk about it. And that's how we get healed. And healing, remember, is not overnight. It's a journey. It's a process. When we're sick and we go to the doctor, we get medication. The doctor is not going to tell you that if you take one tonight, tomorrow you get up and you're as fit as a fiddle. No, you have to
Apart.
complete your medication. And depending on how well your body is receiving the medication, how you receive it determines if you need more medicine or not. Again, it's a process.
Yes.
And please be gentle with yourself. Be
Give yourself.
gentle and patient with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Do not compare your healing to anyone else's. Do not live under the expectation of anyone. You are your own individual. You're called to do something different. Your purpose may be similar, but it's different. It's not mine. It's not Recia's. It's yours. It has your name on it. And God is not going to send you my package. God is not going to put you on my path. My path is for me. Your path is for you. But are you willing to find that path, to own that path, so that you can get to the better side of who you are called to be?
Whoo! She left me with nothing else to say. Nothing else to say. But
And let me just say, let me encourage parents. Parents, please. I know it's the probably the hardest job in the world. We used to say customer service is the hardest job. It's not. Parenting is the hardest job, and it's not paid monetarily, but the success is beyond words. When you see your children or your child grow up to become that person that you aspire for them to become, pay attention to your children. Pay attention to the silence in their voice. look with your eyes closed to see your child be effective. If you don't know what to do, and that's completely fine, we are not all raised to be that person.
Mhm.
You may not know what to do, but there is someone else that knows what to do that you can talk to learn the methods, the strategies, the tactics that you can be an effective parent to your child. That way we can limit or eliminate having these stories. Right,
Yes.
Lucia?
Right.
We can limit these stories. I honor women and men who come out and share, but like you said, Recia, it's not a good thing. It's not good to be raped. It's not good to be neglected by your parents, especially your mom.
Mhm.
But you can become that parent to stop that tradition
Mhm.
from going into the future, into your bloodline. Don't allow your daughter to adopt what your mother gave to you.
Yeah.
Be vigilant.
Better one. Yeah. Set a better example. Goosebumps. She said, goosebumps. I'm just waiting for the show to over so I can cry because I'm holding in so much. I am so speechless. And Raven, you have no clue what you have done tonight. Like this right here is going to touch a lot of people. I promise. I'm sitting here like you are teaching me so much. You are teaching me so much. Right now, I'm gonna go look in my daughter eye and be like, girl, are you okay? Like, stuff like that. So mothers on here, like it is very necessary to be in tune, you know, with your life, with your children, with your surrounding, because you just don't know. And sometimes we ask our children, they may shut us down because
Mm-hmm.
these days, that's what they do. No, I'm fine. Nothing's wrong. But there is something called being consistent. You have to keep
Exactly.
that consistency, and hopefully that person, if there is something, if there's nothing, they're great, you know, then they're great, because things don't have to happen within the home. It can happen at
All
school,
right.
it can happen on the playground, it can happen anywhere. The point is be in tune with your children, be in tune with your surrounding. And so, yes, I whew, we all have to find our own realm to navigate faith. That's right. So, Rafen, my
Yes.
sister, you have done more than more than anything I expected tonight. And like I said earlier, and I will keep saying it, I take my hat off to you. Like I said, we have similar story, but your story is I can't wait to read that book in the first place. I can't wait for you to finish this book. I am not my mother's child, and you are right. The title, I had an idea why you said I was going to ask her why she named it I'm not my mother's child, because you're right. That's not the woman you have become, is not what she
Mhm.
raised, it's not what she birthed.
Exactly.
So you are a complete different person. And so that right there is very touching. And I mean, we over our time, and we did touch on every important topic. But if you have any last word for the people, any last word, nice, short, you have the floor.
Um, I have a quote that I was inspired to write some time ago after talking to a friend that was struggling with something. And I told her that the only role your past has to play in your future is to testify of how it could not destroy you.
Hmm.
Let me say it again. The only role your past has in your future is to testify of how it could not destroy you.
And that's it. And I did read that quote, in fact, on your social media. And it was, I was like, this is powerful. And I did not know you was going to come here and repeat it. And how a great way to end this show. I hope you got that ladies, guys, anyone watching this, I hope you got it, because that right there, that's it. It can get any better than that. It can get any better than that. Raefi-Ann is also a singer. She's also working on her book. So you want to give them your social media. I have your social media right here. You want to follow Raefi-Ann, follow her. Her Facebook and her Instagram is on the screen. You can follow her story. She also have a YouTube and other platforms that you can follow, and just keep, in touch with what she has coming. And we are all waiting for your book. I know it's going to be amazing, and I hope that one fine day I will be back to Jamaica and I will be able to see you, meet you in person, because I love myself some Jamaica. Yes. Okay. So I'm so you have found a place. This is home. You can always come back here. When you have the book, let me know whenever that is ready. I will bring you back on the show. We can talk about it some more. But you have a sister in me. I see you. I hear you. I love you. And I'll give you a virtual hug. So let's keep in touch. Let's keep this story keep going, because you are using your story to change other people's lives. So until then, again, I just want to say I love you and I appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here tonight, my love.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
Jamaica in a few weeks, please. Yes, we coming to Jamaica, and like I said, I'm gonna make it. That's my Jamaican sister. She's from Jamaica. Sharon is from Jamaica, so she's always in Jamaica.
Oh,
and
hi,
I love
Sharon.
Jamaica. Yes, I was in Jamaica, in fact, for my honeymoon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so unmuted. We can laugh about it now. Why not? It's life. Life must go on, right?
Yes.
So I love me some Jamaica. So listen, sister, we're keeping touch. She's cracking up. We're keeping in touch, and until then, have yourself the rest of whatever you're doing. Have a blessed day and sleep tight, and continue doing what you do. Continue changing life. Continue telling your story. Continue being unmuted.
Thank you. You too, Recia. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
Okay, guys, listen, the show, we went over a half hour today, but I could not stop this thing, because something, sometimes we just have to talk. We just have to tell our story. And so I am not the one to stop a guest from talking. And she did an amazing job. She told her story very, very, very well. And I'm sure that she touched a lot of us. She touched me, and I'm sure that she has touched a lot of hearts. All right. This is why this platform was created in the first place. We are telling our story, not just for ourselves, but for anybody else that can gravitate to it. So Unmuted is on Amazon, it's on Target, Barnes & Noble, and Walmart.com. You can pick up your copy. Also, if you want to be on the podcast, you can hit me up. The information is on the screen. You can screenshot it, info@unmuted.org, send me an email. I'm the only one so far viewing everything right now. I don't have an assistant. I am the assistant. I'm the customer service. I am everything. Check out Recia Boutique. We are having our Black Friday sale, 20% off and free shipping, ReciaBoutique.com. It is also on the screen. Support. Guys, I love you. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you again in 2 weeks, because next Sunday, I am not going live next Sunday because I have other engagements. But you will see me after that. I have another fire episode coming up after next Sunday, which will be the 8th of December. So, and my birthday is coming up. I have to celebrate my birthday. Y'all know me. I like to have fun too, right? But so anyway, thank you so much again for tuning in tonight. I am your host, Recia Kabbah. This is Unmuted Podcast. Good night.